Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is day 6 of this 30-day journey to breaking your heart open. And if you are just now watching this video, catching this video, this is the first video that you are watching in the series. My name is Brandy Wilkes, and it is my intention to take you on a journey to breaking your heart open, a journey to healing, a journey to peace, a journey to joy on the other side of pain and sadness and anger. And that is my intention to do that through storytelling and through telling my own story. So, what happens when you are on a journey like this of healing and acknowledging your feelings and allowing things to come up that you normally just would not deal with and that you would suppress or just ignore? What happens when those things come up? That is going to be the topic of this video this evening. And the reason that it's a topic tonight is, as you all know, I talk about what is coming up for me for the day. And I know that, the storytelling should be in chronological order, but life doesn't always happen that way, does it? It doesn't. Sometimes you have detours. Sometimes you get sidetracked. And you have to be able to deal with those things as they come up. And I have had a really, not rough couple of days, but emotionally rough at work. And I think in 2 days in a row, I got a couple of things wrong. And here's the beauty about having and keeping an open heart. It is understanding and knowing that it's kind of like being saved. People think that when you get saved, you become free of all sin all the time. And that is not the absolute truth. You do your best. And when you backslide, you get, caught up. You keep going. You keep moving. Well, that is the same with moving in this healing process and this healing journey and cleaning up your own mess, cleaning up your own emotions, is that when you take a step back, when things are thrown your way, you deal with them as they come. It doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect. And let me make it personal. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get it right every time. It doesn't mean that I'm going to always make the right decisions in the way that I believe that I should have handled it based on the knowledge and the information that I have. Because here's one thing that happens for humans. If you're human, this is happening for you. It is quite natural to want to contract and go into an old state of being. So when life becomes difficult, when we have difficult and challenging situations that occur, it is natural for us to want to contract our hearts, contract our emotions, and go back into survival mode of how we used to handle things because it feels comfortable for us. And even when you go through the process of rewiring your brain, rewiring your nervous system, there will be times where it'll feel comfortable to want to revert back, and you'll have to recalibrate back to a level, that feels good and feels comfortable for you. And when you have those days and times where things are difficult, that is also the best time to be very intentional about keeping your heart open and really go into a self-care routine. Okay? So, what does that mean? Let me go back. Let me give you an example. Typically in fighting, most of the time you'll hear a phrase or I've seen, fighters or whatever. I don't watch fighting and boxing and that kind of stuff. But you're here kind of in the streets and stuff like that. Protect your chest. Always protect your chest. Well, in this process of breaking your heart open, you intentionally take the guard down. Okay? So you intentionally drop your guards when you're going through the process of healing. When life becomes difficult, quite naturally, we want to throw our fists back up, protect our chest, get into a fighting stance. It's natural. If you are human, it can be natural. It can be a natural thing to do. You have to be very intentional about dropping your guard and staying open, allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And that is difficult because even just thinking about it, it feels like, oh my goodness, I'm going to die. I'm in danger. I'm exposed. The enemy will have the best of me. And that is the internal dialogue that is going on when, we want to open our chest, but you have to be intentional about dropping your guards. And it feels like panic. It feels like death when you're going through this process. And so what do you do? First of all, understand that it's quite natural and quite normal to do that. And as long as you are not in real physical danger, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. It feels like it. An ego will tell you you will, but you won't. I promise you won't. But did you die though? Did you die though? You won't die. When times like that occur, you have to be intentional about going into yourself and practicing self-care. And this is very, very strong for me today because I told you yesterday in day 5 that I typically operate at a frequency and at a level of contentment and peace. There's not a whole lot that can rattle my peace, but 2 days in a row, I'm beginning to feel the edge of my peace. I'm moving towards the edge of my peace. Why and how do I know that I'm moving towards the edge of my peace? It's because I can recognize the signs in my body. My breathing has become more shallow. I'm a bit more tense. And I feel if I'm sit still enough, I feel the anxiety slowly starting to increase. So I know that I'm beginning to reach and I'm approaching the edge of my peace. How do I know this? Because I've done enough work with myself to understand the signs of anxiety and when I need to, recalibrate back to where I need to be, right? And so what happens when life is thrown at you and you need to begin to recalibrate? So drop into self-care. When I say drop into self-care, I mean go inward, right? That means go into yourself, do a self-assessment in your body like I have done before I got on this video. I sat on my couch and just a couple of minutes, some deep breathing, and really just feeling and doing a check-in of what was going on with me, and that is what I was feeling. I am reaching the edge, I'm approaching the edge of my peace. I got it wrong a couple of times, or 2 days in a row. I'm reaching the edge of my peace. So the first is to really sit still and to begin to understand what goes on in your body when anxiety begins to creep up. I have said this since the beginning of the first video, and I will say it until the end of these 30 days. You cannot talk about mental health without addressing your emotional health. Okay? So being very clear and being able to determine what's going on in the inside of your body. All right? So that's one thing. Catching the internal dialogue that you are having. What are you saying? So for me today was, okay, you didn't got it wrong twice. What's going on? And if you know me, I'm not a person that like to be wrong. I don't like redoing things. I do not like it. I consider myself very knowledgeable in my field, and I don't like having to redo things, go fix things, but I am willing to always clean up my mess when when I've made one. And so a part of the dialogue, of the internal dialogue, is to not beat myself up. And again, I know that that is very difficult to do. You cannot beat yourself up. So what is happening for me is I recognize some confusion has been caused, whether directly by me or indirectly. I'm the leader in the situation. I need to acknowledge everything that has occurred, fix it. Now, how do we move forward so that this does not happen again? What policies need to go into place? What procedures need to happen? And what first needs to happen is that I need to apologize to my staff, because I have the language available to me, and I have the emotional skillfulness. Thanks a lot, Varian, for the phrase. But I have the emotional skillfulness to first acknowledge, okay, this is where we're going wrong, and this is how we need to fix it. We cannot continue with the amount of confusion, because it causes stress and anxiety, not just for me, but for everybody else. And this cannot continue in this environment as long as I'm in the environment, because I do not and will not operate in an environment of confusion. So I take personal responsibility for everything that happens in my environment that I, can have, or I contribute to, or have some control over. And so I also recognize that by using that language, it reduces the ability for ego to creep in and go, that's so stupid. How did you let that happen? That's just crazy. You're not good enough. You're not, and it's not helpful. And I understand that for a lot of us, that's what our brains sound like. I know, because that's what used to sound like for me. But it is the skillfulness of not allowing it to do that. Because believe it or not, you can control your thoughts. And so one day, during this 30-day process, I will talk about that. I will talk about how you literally can stop and go, wait, hold on. You don't get to take up that space right now. Nope, that's not what we're doing today. You have to really retrain your thoughts. My hair on the sides is so whack right now, and that's okay. I'm remaining open, and we're going to do this video even though my edges is whack right now. So that's one thing. So stop, deep breathing, acknowledging what's going on in your body, acknowledging also the thought process that is happening for you, and then identifying and taking personal responsibility where needed, and then contributing to finding a solution if a solution is available and or necessary. In my particular situation in work, a solution is warranted. There may be life situations where there is nothing that you can do outside of check your own self and allow whatever is going on the outside of you to occur on the outside of you, and keep your peace on the inside of you. And there have been times where there was nothing that I did. The only thing that I could do was just be still. The only thing that I could do was be still. When there was a hurricane going on around me, a whirlwind, a storm going on around me, the only thing that I could do was be still. In fact, I would stand in the eye of the storm, because if you know what in the eye of the storm is, that is actually where it's the most calmest. You can stand in the eye of a storm and be your most calm. Get in the middle of it, get in the thick of it, and be the calmest that you've ever been. It is possible. I've been there. Another couple of things that you can do to practice self-care when life is coming at you and you want to remain open. Keep your guards down. You're not throwing them up. Again, that's natural to want to do. We have to be very intentional to keep our guard down, keep our heart open. There's been a lot of talk about sage. I've been using sage for several years now. Using sage for those that are comfortable with meditation. And again, it's just really, sitting down, being still, listening to your breath. I love acupuncture. It helps to calm, certain nerves. I do it now for maintenance, but I did it before for anger, years ago, for anger issues. That's a whole other topic. But after several consistent treatments of acupuncture, a lot of the high anxiety, road rage that I had went away. But now I do it for maintenance. I also love Reiki, which is basically a laying of hands. It's a laying of hands, a reshifting of your energy. I do that for maintenance as well. But more importantly, it really is just about, being still and checking in with where you are. At the end of the day, that's really what all of those things boil down to, is just checking in and determining where you are at the end of the day, and being able to recalibrate back to where you need to be. Acknowledge, where you are, and then recalibrate back to where you need to be. Deal with those things as they come up, and then recalibrate. Process, recalibrate. So, I feel better. I've talked myself through this, and I feel better. I do. I feel absolutely better. Woo, child. Which one of my Facebook friends or somebody is gonna send me a stand so I'm not having to hold this. This is bananas, and I need to get my life together and just go ahead and buy myself a stand for my cell phone so I could do these videos, because I don't want to do them on my laptop. I'm just gonna buy myself a stand. So let me think. That is my share for tonight. What happens when life is coming at you as you're on this process? What do you do? Because it won't be perfect. In fact, it actually gets messier. Again, I like to believe that I have, reached more of the other side of things. And I still have a long way to go and a lot of growth. But I definitely am not where I used to be, and I don't handle things the way that I used to. And it is so refreshing and it's so liberating. And I'm telling you, I just really want people to understand that you do not have to live in anger, consistent anger and fear and worry and sorrow and despair. That there is another side to it, and it does not have to consume your entire life. It doesn't have to consume you for days on end. It does not have to consume your being. And sometimes we allow situations to happen and occur on Monday and Wednesday. We're still upset and carrying those things from Wednesday. My request of you is to stop that shit. Stop it. You let one person, one thing upset you, one situation upset you, and for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, you still upset and you still mad. And yes, crazy things happen, and severe things happen, and I get it. Tragedy happens, and it does not have to determine and dictate how you show up in the world consistently. Sad things happen, and you still don't have to show up. I remember making a post some months back, and it said, your kids can be going crazy, and you can still stand in peace. You could be about to lose your house, your car, and you can still stand in peace. You could, things that could be going haywire at work, and you can still stand in peace. Standing in peace, being peaceful does not mean that there is an absence of chaos. It just means that you have learned these intentional, very intentional practices of standing in the eye of the storm where it's the calmest. but it happens on the inside first. Now that's my share. I will see y'all tomorrow.